Hello, it is Throwback, Thursday, March 28th, 2019. Steve Sipress here. Spectacular day. Not wearing my regular ugly red Hawaiian shirt. I am wearing one of my very many New York Mets t-shirts today because it was opening day for Major League Baseball, still is. And amazingly, my amazing Mets are in first place. They tend to do this a lot. Jeremy Danley is here. They win in one game on opening day. It was a good one, though. Robbie Cano, brand new to the Mets, in his first at-bat, smashed a home run at the top of the first inning. The Mets never looked back. 4 pitchers combined for a 5-hit shutout. Cano later on knocked in the Mets' other run. They won 2-0. And he also threw a guy out at the plate on a double play from second base. So great game for Robbie Cano. And the Mets were in first place. Anyway. Not much of a business lesson today. So those of you that are here for business lessons, you ought to come back tomorrow on Foundation Friday. I'll have a foundational business building tip for you today, simply in honor of my mom. It's 4 years ago tomorrow that I lost my mom to a stage 4 brain cancer, whatever the heck, I'm glad I forget what it was called, anoma. And they diagnosed her in January. They gave her about 90 days, and it was about 90 days. Jim is here. Good seeing you. And she left us 4 years ago today, tomorrow. So I love you, Mom. And I got a photo there that's right in front of my desk in my office at all times. That's me danced with my mom at my wedding to my beautiful wife, Michelle. Look at that. I had a little more hair and a little less gray. That was a little over 15 years ago. Anyway, my mom was a school teacher her whole life, and once she retired from public school teaching, being a government employee, I got her set up. I convinced her to retire as soon as she hit 55 and her benefits vested, and then I set her up in her own business, teaching bridge. That was her hobby. She was a master, grandmaster, life master, whatever, bridge player, and would travel around and play in tournaments and teach in the bridge clubs. And I was like, hey, let's do that as a self-employed business. You can pick your clients, you can go travel to them, they can come to you, you can do parties, events. We set the whole thing up. She had a great time, was real nervous about doing it, like a lot of people are, especially lifetime government employees, for crying out loud. But very soon, Bobby Balin is here, good seeing you. Very soon she said it was the best thing she ever did. Had all that freedom. She loved saying no to clients she didn't want to deal with, or places she didn't want to go, or didn't want to drive too far, or whatever, and she loved it. By the way, reminds me, Brush with Greatness, claim to fame. One time, my mom taught a bridge lesson to Mark Zuckerberg's mom, and he was there also. So my mom had a hand, might have been the first person, but she had a hand in teaching Mark Zuckerberg how to play bridge. Who knew? She let me know that like however many years later when Facebook suddenly became something, and she was like, hey, you know, I taught that kid, that Mark Zuckerberg kid, with his mom in bridge. It's like, all right, way to go, Mom. So my mom being a lifetime school teacher, I hope, and I think about her all the time, and I hope that her legacy lives through me. Her spirit lives through me because I love to teach. I don't teach as a government worker, that's all. I don't teach kids. My mom taught English as a second language, so she not only taught kids, but she taught adults. Newcomers to the country, as you can see currently, they come from all the war-torn countries around the world. So every few years there was a different disastrous situation in a country somewhere in the world, and the kids would come flooding in. Their parents would do everything they could to save up all their money and send their kids to America. So they came a lot of the times with no parents, with nothing to their name, not speaking a word of English. A lot of them, my mom took them in. They lived with us. Even if not, my mom always was tutoring somebody after school on the kitchen table when we got home, and was doing anything she could to give them some money. They would, do chores around the house, babysitting, mow the lawn, anything at all. That painting, I don't know, anything she could get them to do. And it was kind of like she was a mom to all these different kids from all these different places all over the world. And that's how I grew up, surrounded by all kinds of people from all over the world. What a great experience. And just seeing that my mom loved to teach, was always teaching. And she had a saying, and she, drummed it into us. And I remember it every day that I believe I have an obligation. She told me that you learn something, you got to teach it to somebody else. So that's what I do. Just don't do it as a government worker. I do it with business owners. I built a multi-million-dollar business when I started it when I was still in law school. And people right away started asking me, how'd you do that and what'd you do? And I just naturally started helping other people and teaching other people. And then somebody said, you ought to charge money for this. There are people that do this, business consulting and coaching. And, instead of just helping everybody out for free, you ought to start charging. People will pay you. And they did. And I have had a hand in hundreds of multi-million-dollar business success stories ever since. And hopefully I'm just getting started. And that's all thanks to my mom and what she taught me by example and how she lived her life. And so I remember her today on Throwback Thursday. I throw back to my mom. Passed away 4 years ago tomorrow. I love you, Mom. Thanks, everyone, being here today. See, Holly is here. Great seeing you. Thanks, everyone, being here live, watching on the replay. I'll be back with some business tips. Maybe I just gave one a little bit there. Like, find something you love to do that you're meant to do. Never think of it as work. I don't think of it as work. It's something I naturally do. I help people, business owners, make ridiculous amounts of money and have ridiculously less stress by putting effective systems into place in their business so they can turn a business into an asset. A lot of times people, small business owners, can't sell their business. They got no systems in place. It's all them. Working too hard. It's all themselves. Nobody's going to buy that. So I solve a lot of problems for people and help them out. And it's all thanks to my mom. She taught me to do that. She taught me especially by example. She was Teacher of the Year a couple of times, won a lot of awards, did all kinds of great things. I love you, Mom. Throwback Thursday. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you tomorrow on Foundation Friday. Over and out. Bye-bye.